Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都还难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu Hongyan with Tony Reed in the studio. Hi, Tony.
Niuniu, what is going on? How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you for asking. You're always very nice and very polite asking about my life. I like that.
I try. You know, you got to do that. You got to see how, you got to check on people every now and then.
You got to check on people.
You never know how people are doing. You know, it's easy to get sick these days. So.
Oh yeah, and I think we've established that Tony 是一个乐于助人的人. You're a very helpful person in previous episodes, so I can see that you care about people, which is why I think you're going to like the theme of today's Takeaway Chinese.
I think I will too. Why don't you tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, we are actually going to talk about some basic knowledge, some, let's say, useful background and even some skills and techniques when it comes to helping people in an emergency.
Okay.
We call it 急救.
急救.
Yes, 急 means hurry. So,
Okay.
我不着急, I'm not in a hurry. You can take your time. 我很急, I'm bit of in a hurry. I need you to hurry it up. Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. And 救 carries the meaning of help.
Okay.
Actually, in Chinese, if you want to say help, as in
帮我.
帮我 is help me in a situation that I don't know how to do or don't know what to do with. But 救我 means to save my life. Like you're hanging on a cliff and you want to say help, help. That help would be 救命, save my life. 救命.
救命.
Yes. So 急救 literally would be to provide, most occasions, medical involved help in a emergency.
Interesting. Two ways to say help me.
Two ways to say help me. One for dire situation, one for everyday life. 帮我 would be please help me with something that I'm having trouble with. 救我 means I'm dying here, please help me. So two ways to say help me, yes.
好嘞.
But for today's episode, we're actually going to talk about 急救知识, first aid related or medical emergency related knowledge. I think in life, we all need a little bit of that trick in our pockets.
Yes, of course.
It doesn't really matter if you're in a workplace or with your family or just in a public place. You spot someone who lose conscious all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or, you know, suffering from a heat stroke. Or maybe is suffering from an open wound.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. And if
Yeah.
you have the knowledge to deal with the situation, you probably might be actually able to save a person. 救命, you know,
救命.
save one's life.
Or be helpful.
Be helpful. It's very important.
I think so.
Yes.
So this will give me another opportunity to be more nurturing.
Very helpful person, Tony there. 乐于助人, 并且有助人的能力. Very helpful and have the ability to actually provide help.
Ability, 能力.
能力, yes, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so that is the theme of today's Takeaway Chinese. For our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, CRI Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 你们部门昨天下午是不是办讲座了？是什么主题呀？是急救方法和知识。听起来 非常实用。具体讲了哪些内容呢？我们学习了如何应对过敏、休克等内科急症，如何处理出血、骨折等外科急症，动物咬伤、中暑等环境急症，还学习了针对成人、儿童和婴儿的心肺复苏。
Sounds like a super, super informative class that I would need a lot of sugar to stay awake in.
Yes, but one is very practical, very useful, with a lot of information that you think you might need in the future. You tend to stay focused.
You would think so. I took one of these classes before. It's a lot of information.
Oh yeah, we can discuss that in the second half. For the first half, let's learn to say them in Chinese first.
All right.
Okay, for the first sentence, 你们部门昨天下午是不是办讲座了？是什么主题呀？
This is, did your department hold a lecture yesterday afternoon? What was the theme? So, 你们, so that's like you guys, or you in a plural sense, right?
Yes, 你们.
你们, and then 部门.
Yes.
This is the department, right?
Department, 部门.
And then 昨天, this is yesterday.
昨天, yesterday.
And then 下午.
下午.
下午. See, it just sounds weird when I say it.
No, it's not. 下午, repeat after me.
下午.
Perfect. Afternoon.
I just said that really quickly. But yes, that means afternoon. And then sure for sure. This
Yes
is
or no.
yes or no.
Yeah.
Did or did not. And then ban.
Yeah.
This, I think, ban jiang zuo. This is related to, this is lecture, right?
Yes, actually, 办 is the verb here. It carries the meaning of hold.
Hold, right.
So we sometimes say 开办.
开办.
开办 would be open, hold, just to host something.
Yeah,
办.
开门 is open. Like
Yes.
right, okay.
So 办讲座 means hold lecture, because 讲座 here is lecture.
Okay. jiang zuo is lecture.
Yes.
And then 是什么? So it's like what?
Yes, what?
What is, yeah. And then 主题.
主题.
This is the theme, right?
Theme. 主 means main or primary, and 题 can be used in words like 题目, title, or headline, 标题. So 主题 means the primary idea, the main idea. So theme, 主题.
Okay.
什么主题呀? What is the theme?
At the end, it's ya.
Yes.
Is that, can we say ma, or does it have to be ya here?
You can say ya or a or n, but you cannot say ma, because ma carries the meaning of or suggesting
It's
that
a yes or no question.
Exactly. See, you know this. So you can't really say ma in this occasion, but you can use the other particles at the end of the sentence.
Okay.
是急救方法和知识.
It's first aid methods and knowledge. So, 是 is, yeah. 急救, this is first aid.
Yes.
Yeah. 方法, this is like way or method.
Yes, 方法 way or method. Perfect.
And then 和, this is and, yeah. And then 知识,
知识.
this is knowledge.
Knowledge. 急救方法和知识方法 methods and 知识 knowledge. Actually, when it comes to a theme of a certain symposium, lecture, forum, it's often the 知识 the knowledge and the 方法 the method. So it's very often, let's say, seen here in China.
Okay.
Very useful phrase. 听起来非常实用。具体讲了哪些内容呢？
This sounds very practical. What exactly does it cover?
Yes.
So 听 here is hear, right?
Hear or listen.
Or listen, something related to the ears, right?
Yes.
And then 起来, I hear this like it means like, right?
it's hard to translate 起来 directly into English because 起来, if you see the word by itself, it actually means to get up.
Oh, that's weird.
That is weird because
看起来 means looks like, right?
Looks like. Whereas
听起来
听起来 sounds like. Because when you put it after a verb like that, 看起来, 听起来, 想起来, 写起来, it actually forms a kind of structure, a kind of phrase that is the something like phrase. So you can't really translate 起来 in this occasion unless you put it together with the verb. So 看起来 looks like, 听起来 sounds like, 吃起来 tastes like.
Okay. So, in English, like.
If you have to.
Long explanation there, but in English,
If you have to.
like. 非常 very.
Very.
实用. This is useful or practical, right?
Yes, 实用, useful or practical. 实际 or 实践 carries the meaning of in reality. 用 we know is use. So if it's with great use in reality, it is practical or useful. 实用. 具体.
具体, this is like exactly or specifically,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then we have 讲了 or 讲. So 讲, this is related to spoken or something that's said, right?
Yes. So I think the full sentence here would be 老师具体讲了哪些内容? What did the teacher talk about? So that's 讲了, talk about, say, or lecture related to that meaning.
What is 聊天?
聊天?
Yeah.
That's chat. Casual conversation, small talks.
So can we also use that in this context?
You
like
can. You can say 具体聊了哪些内容?
Okay. All right. So 具体 is specifically 讲 is or 讲了 is talk about 哪些
哪些
This is which, right? And then 内容 This is like content.
Perfect.
And then 呢 that's another question sound, right?
You can also say 具体讲了哪些内容呀?
Yeah?
Yeah, because
Why does that sound girly?
Because in the previous sentence we did use ya and it works.
You say it.
It sounds girly because I said it.
Okay. I'm just hoping you're not teaching me, the wrong Chinese.
I'm not teasing you. And I'm not teaching you the wrong Chinese. They are all very standard, perfect, gender-neutral Chinese.
Okay, just making sure.
Then we have the long sentence here. 我们学习了如何应对过敏、休克等内科急症，如何处理出血、骨折等外科急症，动物咬伤、中暑等环境急症，还学习了针对成人儿童和婴儿的心肺复苏。
Wow, that is a mouthful. All right, so in English, it says we learned how to deal with medical emergencies such as allergies, shock, surgical emergencies, which includes bleeding and fractures. And we have the environmental emergencies, which includes animal bites and heat stroke. And then you have cardiopulmonary resuscitation for adults, children, and infants. Crazy. We do not talk like this in English.
Oh, actually, you do. If it's a seminar, if it's a, let's say, lecture like this, they would categorize all these different kinds of emergencies.
Maybe in a lecture, but I mean, if buddies ask me what did the class cover, and it's like, well, let me pull out my handy dandy chart here and read everything.
I agree. It is a mouthful, but it's very informative. It's the kind of conversation I would enjoy with, people who talk like bugs.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's nice that we can actually learn to say these different emergencies.
Yeah, these words, there's a lot of words here I don't know, so.
And they are, again, practical, 很实用的词汇啊。Okay, so 我们学习了如何应对过敏、休克等内科急症. Let's handle that part first.
Okay, I think I know what you said. 我们 is we, right? 学习了 is study or studied. Right? 如何 This is how.
This is how. And there's a oral way of saying that. That would be 怎么
Oh, yeah.
You remember that, right?
Something,
It's also how. But again, when it's a high register situation,
It's a
when
book.
Yeah, you
book
say
response.
如何, that means
如何.
how to, yes.
And then
应对,
应对. So this is the deal with.
deal with.
And then 过敏.
过敏,
过敏.
过敏.
过敏. That's allergy.
That's allergy. 过敏, that's allergy. 我就对荞麦过敏. I am allergic to a certain kind of barley. Yeah.
So when you go to restaurants and they say 你
I was-
有过敏吗?
They will say 你有忌口吗? Is there anything you do not eat?
Oh,
Because for some
忌口.
people, maybe they don't eat this, but they're not allergic to it. But still, you make that request. But I do have this specific kind of 过敏, and I need to look out for it because it is the main ingredient for 朝鲜冷面.
Okay. Some
Korean
kind of noodle.
cold noodle. So yeah, I have to look out for it. 过敏, allergy.
Okay.
And 休克.
休克. 休克 is like, it sounds almost like it's not the same in English, but shock.
Shock, yes. And this is the kind of shock. If we are talking about 休克, we're talking about those who actually lose conscious.
Oh.
休克, very serious. And we have 等.
Dong. This doesn't have anything to do with light, does it?
灯 is light. 等 is etc. So there are different kind of ways to use it,
Etc.
etc. For example, you can say 我喜欢苹果、西瓜等等. So I like apples, watermelons, and so on, etc.
Stuff like that.
Yes, so you put 等等 at the end of the list of things you have just named.
Dung dung.
等等.
Is that kind of like the dot that on the piece of paper where it's like
I've never thought of it that way, but yeah, it's really like that. And another way of saying that is 苹果、西瓜等水果都很好吃. So apple, watermelon, 等 etc. 水果 sorts of fruit 都很好吃 are delicious. So if you put it in a sentence, as in the middle of a sentence, you use only one 等.
Only one dung.
If you put it at the end of the sentence, after the list of things, you have two 等,等等.
I see.
That's the two ways of using it. And here, apparently, we have 过敏休克, that's the two things. So 等内科急症, because they belong to the category of 内科急症.
内科急症. This is the medical emergency.
Yes. So 内科 is actually a department where no surgeries are involved. So once there is no cutting, there's no surgeons with their scalpels getting in, it's actually a 内科. Of course, there are different kinds of 内科. There are 心内科, cardiovascular. There are 脑内科, with inside your brain. But for 内科, no surgeries are involved. That's the only difference.
That's a medical emergency with the brain. I think you're gonna need somebody to open it up, right?
Most occasions, probably. Anyway, 内科, no surgeries.
Alright.
急症 is emergency.
Okay.
And then we have 如何处理出血、骨折等外科急症.
So 如何 again is how. Yeah, and then we have 处理.
Yes.
处理. This one means
Actually, it's also deal with. It's
Is
a
it
trick
really?
here. Yes.
Oh, boy.
应对 and 处理 basically mean the same thing. To deal
应
with.
对
Yeah.
and 处理 are the same.
Are similar, especially in this occasion. So it's how to deal with, how to face the situation, how to solve the problem, something like that.
Okay.
出血.
出血. This has something to do with blood, right? Like bleeding.
Perfect. That's bleeding.
Hemorrhaging.
Yes.
Right.
出 means out. 血 is blood. So if you have blood coming out of your body, that is a bleeding situation.
Right. Okay. And then
骨折.
骨折. This is like if something is broken.
Yes, because 折 means break or broken, and 骨
Gu is bone, right?
is bone. So broken
bone.
Perfect.
Dung. This is and etc. Why could she jung? This
外科
is
急症.
a medical emergency that revolves surgery, right? So surgical emergency.
Surgical emergency. 外科 is the surgical department. So cutting. 外科.
内科 部门, can we say that?
Yeah, you can say that. But because 科 already carries the meaning of department. So if you say 内科部门, it's a little bit redundant to use the 部门, but people still understand for sure.
I see.
动物咬伤、中暑等环境急症。
So 动物 is animal. And then 咬伤.
咬伤
This is bite, right?
A bite. Actually, 咬 is bite. 伤 means injury. So 咬伤, they bite you and cause you an injury.
Dirty, filthy dog bites you, huh? In the street.
Oh, it's not going to be good.
No, it's not. You need to run to the hospital ASAP.
Yes.
How do you say rabies in Chinese?
狂犬病
Huan?
狂
Oh, 狂
狂犬病
chuan. Kang chuan bing.
狂 is crazy. 犬 is dog.
Crazy.
And 病 is disease.
Mad
So
dog disease.
You're laughing too hard. It's offensive to those who suffer from rabies.
Well, no, it's just...
No, it's not. It's a funny name.
Yes, the translation is just hilarious.
Crazy dog disease.
Okay, where are we? I lost my place.
中暑. We're talking about 中暑.
中暑. This is a heat stroke.
Heat stroke.
Right? And then 等 again, which means etc.
Yes.
环境急症. So this is environmental emergency.
Yeah. Here we basically understand that when it comes to 内科急症, it's something that does not involve a wound. And when it's 外科急症, you see some kind of fracture or let's say bleeding. It's mostly you can see the injury. Thank you. Mostly you can see the injury in this occasion. And 环境急症 would be the kind of emergency that's caused by the environment or outside sources.
Dog bite is not exactly an environmental problem, is it?
Well, the dog is in the environment.
Yeah, but it's environment.
Yeah, I know what you
It's
mean.
like the wind or, the rain or...
Hey, it's not my...
Fire, the elements.
Not my categorize.
Mad dog. I don't know if that's part of the environment.
Aww. Okay, and the last piece is also very important. We have 还学习了针对成人、儿童和婴儿的心肺复苏。
Okay. You said hi. This is
Also,
and 学习了
studied.
And then 针对.
针对
This is like directed towards something,
directed
right?
towards, yes.
And then 成人儿童.
成人
成人. This is ren is a person. So
Yeah.
成 is adult.
grown-up person, yes. 儿童
儿童. I think those are kids, right?
kids.
I'm get confused because I think R also means ear, doesn't it?
It does. Same pronunciation,
Oh,
different
boy.
character. It's okay. It's
So
only
adult
natural.
and kids.
Uh-huh.
And then let's see.
婴儿
He and 婴儿. This
婴儿
is infants.
infants.
So the infants apostrophe S. 心肺复苏.
Yeah.
So this is I guess the equivalent to CPR.
CPR, yes. So as you can see, the kind of CPR towards or adapted to adults, kids, and infants are basically different. So that's why they need to learn, or actually we need to learn 3 different methods to 3 different categories of people.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So do you have any questions? I think we've tackled all these hard words and vocabulary. It's nice that now you know how to say these horrible emergencies.
非常困难.
非常困难吗? Okay, then let's try the conversation. Only this time I will say them first. In the future, you're gonna have to master these difficult ones. Anyway,
好吧.
Okay.
你们部门昨天下午是不是办讲座了？是什么主题啊？
是急救方法和知识。
听起来非常实用。主题讲了哪些内容呢？
我们学习了如何应对过敏、休克等内科急症，如何处理出血、骨折等外科急症，动物咬伤、中暑等环境急症，还学习了针对成人、 儿童和婴儿的心肺复苏。You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niuniu and Tony. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's talk about few tips and things you need to keep in mind when it comes to dealing with medical emergencies. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu, joined by Tony. So Tony, you said that you have actually participated into one of these, classes teaching knowledge and methods, 方法和知识 about medical emergencies.
Yeah, I used to take a 心肺复苏 class.
Oh, that's super cool. So you know how to do that. So I can turn to you if someone's in a dire situation.
No. It was a long time ago.我忘了.
You forgot.
I forgot most of it because it's you have to position your hands in the right place. You have to apply the right amount of pressure, and you have to breathe down the person's throat, and that. So there's a certain technique to it that you have to, and in the medical field, when I was in the medical field, they have something called in-service hours, where you're constantly doing trainings.
Oh yeah.
And you have to keep up with this certain hours annually, otherwise you can lose your license. And
It actually makes sense.
Yeah, because you're dealing with people's lives.
Yeah.
So you have to always stay current with that. And so since I've lapsed on my in-service hours for years now, I pretty much forgot everything. But it's a really interesting class. You're learning a lot of things.
I think it's hard to actually learn to do CPR, but I think it's important to keep in mind some basic, let's say, knowledge or principles when it comes to emergencies. For example, I didn't used to know that if there is some object stuck in your body, an open wound, you should never remove the foreign object. You should always wait for emergencies to do that. You should send this person in this injury
to the ER.
You should never remove it because you don't really know whether or not it's on certain kind of vessels. It's
organ
possible.
And
you
it
don't
could do more damage when you pull it out.
Exactly. So do not pull it out. So that's something you should always keep in mind. And another one, I'm not really sure about that, but I was told that if someone is, let's say, suffering from certain kind of eye injury, because some people would say you should use ice to apply ice or pressure kind of bags.
Yeah, ice is normally used for any kind of inflammation on the body. So ice and heat. It's kind of an alteration.
Exactly. But I was told when the injured organ or the injured part is your eyes, you should avoid doing that.
Maybe if it's not directly on the cornea, but I know around the eye, 'cause I used to do boxing.
Oh, around it.
Yeah, I got hit in the eye and it got purple. Then you need
Got
to
a
apply a little
black
bit of
eye.
ice to bring the swelling down. But on the cornea itself, it's not a good idea.
And also, since we are talking about eye injuries already, another trick to remember is if you want to flush the eye, if only one eye got contaminated by certain kind of poison or dirty water, anything like that.
Any substance that shouldn't be in there.
Yes, we should always remember to face the eye down to prevent flushing the chemical from one eye to another. So you need to make sure you face your head to the floor.
Just look at the floor. Keep the infected eye over the ground. That way the gravity of whatever you're flushing in comes straight out and doesn't go into the other eye, right?
Yes, and make sure to flush with cool or room temperature water for at least 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
That's a long time to flush your eye.
Yeah, it is not going to be comfortable, but that is the amount of time that's recommended by doctors.
15 minutes.
Yeah, so I think that is the amount of time that would ensure that you got whatever in your eyes out.
How do you say eye in Chinese?
眼睛.
眼睛.
Yes.
And how do you say flush your eye?
冲洗.
冲洗.
冲 carries the meaning of flush. 洗 is to wash. So 冲洗 together would be the flushing kind of wash.
Okay.
So flush your eyes. 冲洗眼睛.
眼睛.
Yes, that's eye-related injury. And another one I also want to ask you. Have you ever been told that if you got an open wound, you should apply pressure on it to make sure or to help it stop bleeding?
Yeah, applying pressure, but keeping something to absorb the blood and apply pressure with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that way the blood can collect, and then hopefully the platelets will start working, and then it'll dry up, and then the bleeding will reduce. So yeah, that's very important. Otherwise, you just bleed out and you die, right?
That is a very serious otherwise.
Yeah, there's no other choice. But yeah, that's you gotta let your body. You gotta help your body so that your body can do its thing, and that's yeah, that's where this called platelets. There's
Platelet, yes.
Keeps
血小板.
血小?
血小板. 血 is the blood. 血 or 血. Two pronunciations. 小板,血小板.
血小板.
Works too. And another one is actually a tip that I recently learned the hard way because I made that mistake. That is, do not break blisters if they present.
Oh, break the blister?
Have you ever used a little needle to,
pop a blister? No.
I've done it. It hurts.
No. Of course it hurts. It's a blister. I mean,
it's a blister. I hate it.
Why would you pop it open with a needle?
Because you got little fluids in it, and you can touch it.
Now I've bursted those. I mean, I guess
them.
I could say it like with pimples, because we all get pimples, right? And you just don't want it to be there. It's like in a very inconvenient place. Yeah. I mean, people see it. It's just like ew, and so you have to. Get rid of it. So I popped it with my fingers, but sticking a needle, I just think that's torturous. Self-inflicted torture, and I'm not a fan of that.
Sometimes you just really want it to go away, and break the blister is not a good idea, guys. Do not break your blisters. It hurts, and it will make the recovery time longer.
How do you say gross in Chinese?
恶心.
恶心.
Don't do that. It's a very girly. It's a girly way to say that. It's mostly the tone.
That's why I ask you.
Mostly the tone.
Okay, so what is a way that I can say it?
You can still use 恶心. Just do not use the kind of girly 恶心 kind of tone. Just avoid doing that.
Okay.
Be normal. Say 恶心.
恶心.
That works.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And also, by the way, blister in Chinese would be 水泡.
水泡.
Water bubble.
Water bubble.
Isn't it a water bubble in your body? It is, right?
Yeah, kind of.
It's scary.
Except that sometimes
and
there's
gross.
pus on the inside. I wouldn't call that water, but yeah.
Yeah, water bubble. 水泡.
恶心.
Yes. And the last tip, but I think Tony has already mentioned it several times in the beginning of the conversation, that is only a trained and qualified person should administer CPR. I know it's life-saving, it's very important, but still we do not want to do it lightly.
Yeah, you could mess somebody up. I mean, if you apply too much pressure,
break one or two ribs,
break a rib, or and you may actually do more harm than good. So you have to make sure that you're trained. And sometimes for a lot of people, they have these little masks, CPR masks, that you can keep with you, maybe in the glove compartment of your car.
Oh yeah.
And so that would be easier and cleaner, actually, especially now with this pandemic, to use that, where you put that onto someone's face, and then you have the other part of the mask in your face, so that way you're not, it's not mouth to mouth is kind of the old school way, but I mean, nobody wants to put their mouth on someone else.
We do not have to do it anymore.
Right.
But I think the general idea is we always want a professional to deal with this kind of situation. You want to make sure you keep the patient the way they are without doing a lot of interference if you're not a very knowledgeable person in that regard.
We don't know what kind of injury they have. If you move them, you could hurt them even more, especially if they have some type of cervical breakage or something.
Yeah, so but still, knowing one or two skills or tricks in that regard would help you and your loved ones. And perhaps in the future, we should all attend this kind of lecture, 急救讲座.
急救讲座.
Yeah.
I think so.
And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu with Tony here in the studio.